Okay, so let's make our first drum beat. First of all, what I'm going to use for this drum beat is going to be this drum rack right here. I'll drag that onto our MIDI track right there. Okay, so now I want to populate this drum rack with samples that I will be using. So I want to do a drum bass song, so I'm going to be searching for a kick drum. Now, once I typed in a kick right here into the search box, it showed me all the folders that actually have any kind of file inside of them that has kick in it. So now I have all of this. Let me see where I can find a nice kick drum for me. So let's see, punchy, let's say punchy. I like this one. I'm gonna use that one. And of course, I can always change it later. So it doesn't really matter if I'm, deciding on this one at the moment. I just like it for now. So now what I need is a snare drum. And you can actually, populate this as you go. But for now, for, the basics of it, I just need the kick, the snare. So I'm gonna find the snare drum for this. So let's see right here, what kind of drums we have. I like the high one a lot. Let's use that high one. And once you put it in there, he always marks them as a one-shot sample. So it's always going to play the whole sample unless I do the fade out, So it will always play the entirety of the sample, and that's okay, but for now I'm just using classic, just like that. Release is going to be normal at 50, right here too, so I can make shorter, plays of that sample. If I just shorten the note, the release is going to help me with that, the ADSR on the MIDI. So let me write that down. So I'm gonna insert a MIDI clip. I could have just done that by pressing the Control Shift like this. Control Shift M. Okay, now I have that. Double click. And this whole piano roll, when drum rack is in question, has been automatically folded to only show me the notes of the populated cells inside this drum rack. So I'm not seeing any of the other notes in there. If I unfolded that just like this, I've just seen all the notes, but I just want the ones that actually have the samples on them. Also, I want this to be not so dense, so I can use the Control 2 like this a couple of times and make it less dense, like 116. Okay. Now I need my BPM to be 174, say the most standard one. And if you want your tracks to be, DJ friendly, to be as played as possible, you need to take care of the arrangement, of course, and you need to take care of the speeds that you're making your music on. So if you made a drum and bass track at 160, which is possible, it wouldn't be, really close to the speed of all the rest of the music in that genre. So I suggest that you always research, the genre you're making, and, you don't have to experiment, do your own thing, but if you want to be DJ friendly, be as close to the industry, as you can. So let's try that. We have our snare. Let's do that. Make it longer so that the entire snare plays, actually. And let's say the kick drum right there. Nice. So if I loop that, okay, I like that. So I can prolong that just like this. And once again, I can consolidate that so that it's not a loop of this. So once I change something, you see it's changed every time. So maybe I just consolidate this like that, or Control J. And now when I've done that, I can make some, alterations like that, and maybe even something with the kick drum like this. No, maybe like this. Okay. Okay, move this. I can also move that. Okay, now we have that piece of the beat. Let's get some hi-hats in there. I'm gonna switch back to the drum rack right there and say hat. Let's see what hat do we have. Something like this. Let me try that out. Okay, this is what I want. Just gonna change it right here into this. Change it here, right there, to this. Okay, nice. Okay, I can hear my, in my drums, I can hear the snare being really loud. So let's pull that down a bit. Tiny bit more, maybe. Now, one good thing I can do with this drum rack in Ableton, I can switch into my session view where I have the mixer. And if I expand on this, triangle, if I expand that drum rack, I can see each one of these drum racks, you see used cells with the actual track, with the channel, so I can mix those as well. Nice, I like that. Let's find more hats. I like that one. So I'm gonna add that to my drum rack right here. Okay, go back to not one shot, but a classic. Simpler, so let's see where we can place that hi-hat. So maybe like this. I dig that. We can do that. Okay, maybe it's a bit too loud. I want that much quieter. Nice. I like that. That's cool. So let's find a shaker. I like shakers in this kind of music, like the really fast shaker. Let me find a suitable one. Let's see which one is going to sound the best. So now what I can do is set the shaker up, of course, go into our MIDI, write it down into actually every 16th, just like this. Maybe one of these I can even keep quieter, make a kind of a dynamic, interesting dynamic for these. So for this one, a bit quieter too. Something like that. And then just copy that, duplicate across the entire field. Okay, less loud, of course. Now, about this hi-hat that I made second, this one, I don't like it in some spots, like right here. Yeah, when it plays together with this hat, it just disables that one from being heard, So I don't want that. I'm just gonna move it everywhere where they play together. I'm just gonna move it to play, you see, with the kick drum or with the snare, just not to, mess with that one. So okay, I like that. That's good. Now, I will save this project. Okay, this is our drum and bass sketching. Now that that is done, what I also want is I want to add some percussions to this. So let me find some percussion samples. Okay, so what I'm going to do for those percussions, I'm going to instantiate another drum rack, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to find some percussions, just a second. No. Let's see what we can find. These are all loops. Okay, so I can use these percussions. Now, I could go into my instruments, get a drum rack right there. I can also drag this sample onto this second MIDI track, just like that, and then get the simpler, you see, and then I can right-click it and say group to drum rack. Now that simpler is just a part of a drum rack, so just one cell in a drum rack, just like up here. So I can add more of these. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to avoid being that one shot. I'm going to avoid playing all of this reverb, after it. Just want it really short. So this kind of fast music, I want all of these to be really short. Just like that. I'm going to replace that one. Make it shorter. Like that. Release. No release. No release, so I can play it shorter even if I want to. Okay. Snap, nice. I think I like that one too. So I'm just gonna add some of these percussions right there. Now, this is my process. You don't have to do that. You can add one, find a place for it right here, to play it, and then add another one when you find, when you can decide what you actually need in there. I have a pretty good idea of what I want. So I want a couple of those so that I can make a pattern for the percussion right here. I want 1/16, so 16th notes right here, that division. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to write these down. Let's see where, like this. I want to use these crochet notes, so not on the beat, not on the off beat, but somewhere in between, to add to the speed of the song. It's actually going to fill up the spaces where there is no snares, there is no kick drums, so it's going to fill up those spaces too. So the only other element playing those is this really fast shaker. It's going to do that. So you see, when I turn on these, this is the preview. So when I play any of the notes, it's gonna play it. If I type in a new note, it's gonna play it that time. If I click it here, it's gonna play it. So this sample actually too high. It doesn't really sound all that, yeah. Something like this would be much better, I think. Yeah. Okay, make it classic, not one type. Okay. Okay, what I also want to do is make these drums more stereo. Now, we talked about that in the audio processing, so I'm going to process these. I'm basically going to pan these left and right. Maybe two of those like really hard, some of them not so hard, just like that. Okay, I like that. And I will add some processing onto those, of course, but processing onto all of these. So the entire drum rack, when I shorten it like that, I'm just gonna add some EQ. First of all, to cut all the really, really low frequencies. Okay, I like that. And before that, I'm going to add some redux. So I'm going to reduce the sample rate. Nice. Maybe some overdrive. Okay, I like that. Now, another thing I should do also is take care, see, of all of these elements right here. So let's say the shaker. Let's see if it has any lows. Yeah, it does. So I don't need any low frequencies of the shaker, of the hi-hats. Let's check that out. Maybe not even that. Let's see this one solo. Yeah, I'm gonna leave this part because it sounds nice, it sounds more natural, like a real hi-hat off the drums. Let's see that. Okay, this one doesn't really have it. Let's see about the snare. Does it have any really, really low frequencies? Yep, so we need the snare down to there. We don't need anything below. Now that's cleaner. Okay, another thing I could do with all of this is just add, let's say some, compression, some parallel compression. Let's not even use the glue one. Let's use the standard compressor right here. The drum rack on top of all of these drums right here. So what I'm going to do some parallel compression. Of course, no makeup gain. Automatic makeup gain makes it really loud. So now that I've done that, I just want to blend that in with the original sound. So I don't want this sound, actually. You see, I lose a lot of the actual dynamics I made by mixing those samples. So let's see. Okay, I like that. Let me just check on the kick drum and see. Okay. Now that's good. I like that. I like that. I think this is a good beat to start with. Now, during the creation of the song, if we need anything more, we will add more elements. But I think this is just enough together with the, percussions like this. Even some reverb, if I feel like some of these elements needs reverb, I will add that. But, I prefer to do that when I have, main idea done. So in this sketching, first of all, I leave everything dry for the beginning. And then in the end, I decide, in that sound stage, what's going to be further away, what's going to be, closer to me. And I tend to do that, after the fact when I've done the entirety of the main idea.